New evidence confirms that humans were walking across North America more than 20,000 years ago after human footprints were found at the White Sands National Park in 2009.
Did you know that beneath the Grand Canyon's iconic cliffs, secrets from ancient civilizations and mysterious discoveries have been hidden for centuries? From underground caves with strange artifacts to long-forgotten ruins, the canyon holds more than just stunning views. What exactly lies buried in its depths, and why have these mysteries remained unsolved for so long? Join us as we uncover the hidden wonders of the Grand Canyon and explore its most fascinating secrets. The Great Unconformity. If you've ever stood at the Grand Canyon or seen photos of it, you may have noticed how the layers of rock seem almost like a stack of pancakes. Each layer tells a story about Earth's history, from ancient seas to shifting climates. But hidden within these layers is one of geology's biggest puzzles, a phenomenon called the Great Unconformity. This phenomenon leads to a mystery scientists are struggling to solve. To understand this, we need to properly understand the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is one of the most awe-inspiring natural wonders in the world. Stretching across 446 kilometers in northern Arizona, it is a breathtaking expanse, carved over millions of years by the mighty Colorado River. Its depth is equally staggering, plunging over 1.8 kilometers in some places. As you stand on the rim and look out over this vast chasm, it's hard not to be struck by the sheer scale of it. The canyon varies in width too, from its narrowest point of 6.4 kilometers to its widest at 29 kilometers. It's no wonder that it attracts millions of visitors every year. Long before European explorers stumbled upon this natural wonder, the Grand Canyon was home to Native American tribes who revered it not just as a physical place, but as a spiritual and cultural centerpiece. Tribes like the Navajo, Havasupai, Hopi, and others have called the Grand Canyon and its surrounding areas home for thousands of years. They knew its paths, respected its dangers, and wove its majesty into their myths, stories, and ways of life. At first glance, it might not seem like anything is missing. However, if you look closely at certain parts of the canyon, you'll notice something odd. There's a huge gap in time between some of the rock layers. In the Grand Canyon, you can see this dramatic break in time. The ancient Vishnu schist, which is about 1.7 billion years old, is directly overlain by much younger sedimentary rocks, such as the Tapete sandstone, which is about 525 million years old. This means there's more than 1 billion years of missing rock. What happened during that time? That's the mystery geologists have been trying to solve. For many years, scientists knew the Great Unconformity existed, but they didn't understand why. Recently, though, they've been using a technique called thermochronology to dig deeper into the mystery. Thermochronology is like a time machine for rocks. It helps scientists figure out when rocks were buried deep underground and when they were brought back to the surface. One of the most exciting things about studying the Great Unconformity is what it reveals about Earth's ancient past. Geologists think this missing chapter might be linked to the breakup of a supercontinent called Rodinia. Rodinia existed about 1.1 billion years ago and was made up of nearly all the land masses on Earth, clumped together like a giant puzzle. Over time, Rodinia began to break apart, causing enormous geological upheavals. As the supercontinent fractured, it triggered massive erosion, scraping away layers of rock and exposing older ones underneath. This process may have created the gaps we see in the rock record today. So in a way, the Great Unconformity is like a scar left behind from the Earth's ancient growing pains. The Great Unconformity isn't just a curiosity for geologists. It has important implications for understanding our planet's history. For one thing, it helps us piece together how Earth's continents have moved and changed over billions of years. It also sheds light on the processes that shaped our world, from tectonic shifts to climate changes. But perhaps most fascinating of all, the Great Unconformity might be linked to one of the most important events in Earth's history, the Cambrian explosion. This was a period about 540 million years ago, when life on Earth suddenly became much more diverse, with an explosion of new species appearing in the fossil record. Some scientists think the massive erosion and environmental changes caused by the events surrounding the Great Unconformity might have set the stage for this incredible burst of life. Even with all these discoveries, there's still much we don't know about the Great Unconformity. Why did it happen in some places and not others? What exactly was Earth like during those missing millions of years? Scientists are still searching for answers, and each new discovery brings us a little closer to understanding the full story. Mogollon Monster. Deep in the rugged wilderness of Arizona, especially near the Grand Canyon and along the Mogollon Rim, there are stories of a mysterious creature said to roam the forests. The Mogollon Monster is Arizona's version of Bigfoot, but it has its own unique features and quirks. Witnesses describe it as a towering, ape-like creature standing 7 to 8 feet tall, covered in dark or reddish-brown hair. It's said to have long arms, massive feet, and a strong, musky odor that announces its presence before it's even seen. Its face is sometimes described as more human-like than ape-like, with deep-set eyes and a prominent brow. Unlike Bigfoot, the Mogollon Monster is also said to let out blood-curdling screams or howls that echo through the forest. Some witnesses claim it's a nocturnal creature, only active at night, while others report seeing it during the day, walking stealthily through the woods or crouching behind trees as if trying to avoid detection. The earliest documented account of the Mogollon Monster dates back to 1903, when a man named I.W. Stevens claimed to encounter the creature near the Grand Canyon. According to Stevens, he stumbled upon a wild man covered in long, matted hair, clutching a club. Stevens described the creature as having sharp claws, large feet, and eyes that glowed in the darkness. What struck Stevens the most wasn't just the monster's terrifying appearance, but its behavior. He claimed the creature let out a series of guttural growls and then retreated into the forest, as if it was more interested in avoiding him than attacking. His account was published in local newspapers at the time, sparking curiosity and fear about what might be lurking in Arizona's wild places. The Mogollon Monster is often described as shy and elusive, rarely showing itself to humans. However, people claim to have heard its eerie howls, screams, or even tree-knocking sounds, believed to be a way of communicating or marking its territory. Campers and hikers in the Mogollon Rim area have also reported finding unusual signs, such as large footprints, twisted branches, or rock piles. In some tales, the creature is said to be territorial. People who have strayed too close to its home report feeling watched or hearing strange noises, as if they're being warned to leave. Despite this, there are no reports of the Mogollon Monster harming anyone, at least not yet. Fossil footprints. In 2021, scientists uncovered an incredible discovery in White Sands National Park, New Mexico. 23,000-year-old human footprints. These fossilized impressions were left in soft mud long ago, now preserved as a time capsule from the past. This finding is shaking up what we thought we knew about the history of humans in the Americas and raising fascinating new questions about our ancestors. The fossilized footprints were discovered in an ancient dry lake bed at White Sands. Researchers had been studying the area for years, uncovering footprints from mammoths, giant sloths, and other Ice Age animals. But the human footprints took everyone by surprise. Using a technique called radiocarbon dating, scientists examined tiny seeds trapped in the layers of mud surrounding the footprints. The results revealed something astonishing. The footprints were approximately 23,000 years old. This means they were made during the height of the last ice age, a time when much of North America was covered in massive ice sheets. The age of these footprints is what makes this discovery so groundbreaking. For many years, researchers believed that humans first arrived in the Americas about 13,000 years ago, crossing a land bridge from Asia called Beringia. This theory was based on the discovery of ancient stone tools and other evidence from a culture known as the Clovis people. But the White Sands footprints tell a different story. If humans were in North America 23,000 years ago, they must have arrived much earlier than we thought, possibly even before the ice sheets had melted enough to open migration routes. This challenges the long-standing idea that the Clovis people were the first Americans. The discovery of these ancient footprints has huge implications for our understanding of early human history. If humans were in the Americas 23,000 years ago, it means they may have arrived long before the ice sheets melted. But how? One theory is that early humans traveled along the coast, using boats to navigate the edges of the continent. This coastal migration theory suggests that people could have moved south, along the Pacific shoreline, finding food and shelter along the way. Another possibility is that small groups managed to find ice-free corridors through the massive glaciers, though this would have been incredibly difficult. Either way, the White Sands footprints prove that humans were here much earlier than previously thought. They also raise questions about what other evidence might be out there, still waiting to be discovered. The Havasupai. The Havasupai people have lived in and around the Grand Canyon for over 800 years. Their ancestors thrived by farming, hunting, and gathering in the lush canyon valleys and along the rim. They cultivated crops like corn, beans, and squash, while also gathering wild plants and hunting deer and rabbits. Havasu Creek, with its crystal-clear turquoise waters, has always been the lifeblood of their community. The creek provides fresh water for drinking and farming, and supports the lush vegetation that blankets the canyon floor. Its beauty and importance to their way of life cannot be overstated. When European settlers arrived in the 1800s, life for the Havasupai changed drastically. The U.S. government seized much of their land in the Grand Canyon area, confining them to a reservation of only about 500 acres. Despite these hardships, the Havasupai fought tirelessly to reclaim their ancestral land, and in 1975, their efforts paid off when Congress restored much of their territory. Today, their reservation spans about 185,000 acres, a fraction of their original homeland, but still a victory for their perseverance. While the Grand Canyon is a place of wonder and inspiration, it has also been a battleground for the Havasupai tribe as they fight to protect their land from uranium mining. Mining companies have long sought to exploit the canyon's rich deposits of uranium, a radioactive metal used in nuclear energy. The Havasupai have fiercely opposed these efforts, citing the risks to their water sources, health, and sacred land.
I've actually been scared to drink water, and I've been pretty much going into tap water, bottled waters, and stuff myself.
Uranium mining can contaminate water with toxic chemicals, threatening not only the tribe's way of life, but also the delicate ecosystem of the Grand Canyon. Cave Network. Did you know there is a whole network of caves hidden underneath the Grand Canyon? The story begins in 1909, when John Kincaid, an adventurer and explorer, reportedly stumbled upon a vast network of caves in the Grand Canyon while on an expedition. According to an article published in the Arizona Gazette, Kincaid described these caves as extraordinary, unlike anything he had seen before. He claimed the caves were located in a nearly inaccessible area of the canyon's cliffs, requiring specialized climbing equipment to reach. Once inside, he described an underground world that seemed too advanced and elaborate to belong to any known culture of the region. Kincaid's accounts painted a vivid picture of what he found. He described the caves as being part of a massive underground city. The walls and ceilings were carefully carved, showing signs of advanced engineering. The spaces were symmetrical, almost as if they were designed with a purpose far beyond simple shelter. Artifacts found in the caves included tools, pottery, and what appeared to be statues. Perhaps the most puzzling claim was the discovery of hieroglyphs, symbols carved into the walls that bore a striking resemblance to those of ancient Egyptian or other Old World cultures. Even more astonishing was the supposed presence of an advanced ventilation system. Kincaid noted that the air inside the caves was fresh and breathable, even in deep enclosed sections. How such a system could have been built thousands of years ago, if at all, remains a point of debate. The tale of the cave network doesn't stop at archaeology. Over the years, it has sparked a swirl of conspiracy theories. Some claim that the U.S. government, or the Smithsonian Institution, suppressed evidence of Kincaid's discovery to avoid rewriting history. Critics argue that no official records of Kincaid's expedition exist, and the original article in the Arizona Gazette may have been a hoax. Yet others insist that such a discovery would challenge conventional timelines of human history, and thus, the findings were deliberately buried to maintain the status quo. If the caves exist as Kincaid described, they might provide evidence of an advanced, ancient civilization that lived in North America long before previously thought. This could mean rethinking how humans migrated and interacted with one another in ancient times. Even if the story remains unverified, it reminds us of the many mysteries the Earth still holds. The Grand Canyon, with its towering cliffs and hidden depths, is a place where science and wonder meet, leaving plenty of room for the imagination to roam. Grand Hall. The Grand Hall, as described in Kincaid's accounts, was the centerpiece of the underground city. This massive chamber was said to be grand in every sense of the word. Imagine stepping into a vast space, carved with precise symmetry, with walls that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. The sheer scale of the hall suggested it had been built for something extraordinary, perhaps ceremonies, gatherings, or religious rituals. At the heart of the Grand Hall stood its most striking feature, a statue of an Eastern deity. This statue, as described, was unlike anything associated with Native American cultures of the region. The figure was tall, imposing, and intricately carved, resembling deities seen in ancient Hindu or Buddhist traditions. This led to theories that the builders of the cave network might have had connections to faraway cultures. Could travelers or settlers from Asia have reached the Americas long before Columbus? Or was this statue evidence of a once thriving civilization that had its own unique spiritual beliefs? The Grand Hall wasn't just an empty chamber. It was filled with artifacts that painted a picture of a highly organized and advanced society. Copper tools were among the most surprising finds, as they indicated a level of metallurgical knowledge far beyond what was thought to exist in the Americas at that time. There were also beautifully crafted vases, some of which contained traces of seeds and grains. This suggested that the people who built the caves were skilled in agriculture and food storage. Granaries, small structures for storing food, were found nearby, showing how the cave inhabitants planned for the future and protected their resources. One of the most puzzling parts of the story is what happened to the Grand Hall and the cave network after its discovery. According to the legend, shortly after Kincaid reported his findings, access to the caves was restricted. Some accounts claim the government or other organizations sealed off the area, while others suggest that the exact location of the caves was deliberately hidden or lost. This has led to countless theories. Some believe the caves were closed to protect their historical significance or prevent looting. Others think the findings were suppressed because they challenged the established narrative of human history. Egyptian City. The story of an Egyptian city hidden within the Grand Canyon is one of the most fascinating and controversial legends tied to this majestic place. It all began with claims of mysterious artifacts and architecture that seemed to resemble ancient Egyptian culture, alongside Tibetan influences. Whether this tale is an extraordinary discovery or an elaborate myth, it has captured the imagination of adventurers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Inside the cave system, John Kincaid allegedly found a city-like structure with advanced architecture. The walls were smooth and intricately carved, with chambers and passageways that suggested a highly organized society. Among the artifacts were items that supposedly resembled Egyptian and Tibetan influences, including statues, hieroglyphs, and mummies. One of the most dramatic parts of the story involves the discovery of mummies. Kincaid claimed that mummified bodies were found carefully placed in chambers, surrounded by treasures such as golden urns and ceremonial items. These mummies, it was said, bore a striking resemblance to those of ancient Egypt. The walls of the caves were reportedly covered in hieroglyph-like symbols, which some interpreted as a form of writing similar to that used in Egypt. There were also statues that seemed to depict deities and figures commonly associated with Egyptian and Tibetan cultures, including seated figures and animal-headed gods. The idea that an ancient civilization with ties to Egypt might have existed in the Grand Canyon raises an exciting question. Could explorers or migrants from the Old World have reached the Americas thousands of years ago? Adding to the intrigue is the alleged involvement of the Smithsonian Institution. According to the legend, Kincaid's discoveries were funded by the Smithsonian, and the artifacts were sent there for study. However, the Smithsonian has repeatedly denied any knowledge of the caves or their contents. This denial has fueled conspiracy theories that the institution, along with other authorities, might be suppressing evidence of advanced ancient civilizations. Some believe this is because such discoveries would challenge established narratives about human history and migration. While these theories are captivating, it's worth noting that the lack of documentation and physical proof makes it difficult to substantiate claims of a cover-up. Tusayan ruins. The Grand Canyon is not only a place of breathtaking natural beauty, but also a site steeped in history. One of its most fascinating features is the Tusayan ruins, the only official archaeological site open to visitors in the area. This remarkable site offers a rare glimpse into the lives of the ancient people who called the Grand Canyon home over 800 years ago. The Tusayan ruins are the remains of a small village built by the ancestral Puebloan people, often referred to as the ancestral Hopi. This settlement, located just 3 miles from the South Rim's desert view, dates back to around 1185 CE. Though modest in size, the ruins reveal a lot about the daily life and culture of the people who lived there. One of the most curious aspects of the Tusayan ruins is that the settlement was only occupied for about 20 years. That's a very short time compared to many ancient communities, which often lasted for centuries. Why did the Puebloans leave after such a brief stay? This question has puzzled archaeologists for decades. Some theories suggest that environmental challenges, such as drought or poor soil quality, may have made farming unsustainable. Others believe that social or cultural factors, such as conflicts with neighboring groups or changes in trade routes, could have prompted the villagers to move on. Whatever the reason, their departure remains a mystery, leaving us to wonder what life might have been like during their short time there. The abandonment of the Tusayan ruins adds a layer of mystery to the site. Why did the Puebloans choose to leave, and where did they go? The underground suite. In the early 1960s, the world was on edge. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was at its peak, and the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought the world dangerously close to nuclear war. The U.S. government was looking for ways to protect important figures and ensure survival in case of an attack. As a result, they constructed a number of underground facilities across the country, designed to shield key individuals from nuclear fallout. The Grand Canyon, with its remote location and natural protection, was chosen as a strategic place for one of these underground hideaways. It wasn't just about hiding in a cave. This suite was designed to offer safety and comfort if the worst happened. Hidden deep within the canyon's natural rock, the underground suite would have been a secure, self-sustained environment in a time of global crisis. Though the Cuban Missile Crisis ended over 50 years ago, the underground suite has remained a hidden gem in the Grand Canyon. Over time, as interest in Cold War history grew and the fear of nuclear war diminished, the suite's original purpose faded away. But in recent years, this historic site has taken on a completely new role, a luxury tourist attraction. Today, the underground suite is no longer just a place of survival. It's a unique and exclusive getaway for those looking for an unforgettable experience. For about $1,000 a night, guests can tour the site and explore its fascinating history, and some even have the chance to stay in the suite itself. Imagine spending a night in a place that was once designed for the survival of high-ranking government officials, but now offers a once-in-a-lifetime vacation experience. So, what makes the underground suite so appealing to modern-day visitors? Part of its charm lies in the combination of history and luxury. Visitors are drawn to the idea of stepping into a part of history that few people ever get to see. They're not just visiting a typical tourist spot, they're experiencing a piece of Cold War history tucked away beneath the Earth's surface. And that's a wrap on the mysterious and fascinating Grand Canyon. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible piece of history, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories from around the world.